My parents told me to move into the garage so my brother and his wife could take my bedroom. They said family comes first. I packed my things and left that night. 6 months later, I bought the house they were renting, and suddenly they were the ones begging me for mercy. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we bring you the most emotional, shocking, and unforgettable stories from Reddit and beyond. Today's story is about a man who was told to give up his room and move into the garage so his brother and sister-in-law could have a place to stay. When he laughed, thinking it was a joke, his father made it clear, family comes first. So he left that night. 6 months later, he bought the house they were renting and tripled their rent. And when his mother called crying, he reminded her of the words she'd used to justify throwing him out. If you believe in karma and the power of self-respect, hit that like button, subscribe so you never miss a story, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. This one is deeply satisfying. Let's begin. I was 24 years old when my parents sat me down at the dinner table and told me I was being evicted from my own bedroom. Not from the house, just from my room. They needed it for my older brother, Derek, and his wife, Melissa, who'd just lost their apartment and needed a place to stay. My solution, according to them, was to move into the garage. I laughed when my mother first said it. I actually laughed out loud, thinking it was some kind of twisted joke. Good one, Mom, I said, reaching for the mashed potatoes. You had me going for a second. But no one else was laughing. My father's face was stone. My mother's eyes were fixed on her plate. Derek and Melissa sat across from me, looking anywhere but at my face. This isn't a joke, my father said, his voice flat and final. Your brother and his wife need a place to stay. We have the space. You'll move into the garage temporarily. It's already been decided. I put down the serving spoon. The garage? You want me to live in the garage? It's not ideal, my mother said quickly, but it's only temporary. Just until they get back on their feet. A few months, maybe. A few months, I repeated. In the garage. With no heat, no insulation, no bathroom. We'll put a space heater out there, my father interrupted. And you can use the house bathroom. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Moving out of my room, the room I'd had since I was 12, the room where I'd studied and slept and dreamed and grown up. Moving into an uninsulated garage in the middle of winter. Not a big deal. I looked at Derek. He was my older brother by 3 years, the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. He'd always been my parents' favorite, the athlete, the popular one, the one who'd married his high school sweetheart and seemed to have life figured out. I was the younger son, the quiet one, the one who worked 2 jobs and went to community college part-time and still lived at home because rent in this city was impossible. Derek, I said, can't you stay with Melissa's parents? Or find your own place? He finally looked at me, and I saw something flicker in his eyes. Guilt, maybe, or embarrassment. But before he could answer, my father spoke. Melissa's parents live in a 1-bedroom apartment. They don't have room. And your brother can't afford a new place right now. He lost his job, remember? This is what family does. We help each other. We help each other, I repeated. By making me live in the garage. It's temporary, my mother said again, her voice pleading. Please, just try to understand. I pushed back from the table. I need some air. I walked out of the house and sat on the front steps, my mind racing. The garage. They wanted me to live in the garage. My room, my space, my tiny corner of the world, given away to my brother without a second thought. I thought about all the times I'd helped this family. All the times I'd babysat Derek's kids for free, loaned him money I never got back, covered for him when he made mistakes. I thought about the years I'd spent being the reliable one, the responsible one, the one who didn't ask for anything. And this was my reward. The garage. After a while, Derek came out and sat beside me. I'm sorry, man, he said. I didn't ask for this. Mom and Dad just decided. Did you try to stop them? He was quiet for a moment. It's just temporary. A few months. Then we'll be out of your hair. Where will you go in a few months? Do you have a job lined up? Any prospects? I'm working on it. Something will come through. Something will come through. It was always something with Derek. Something would come through. Someone would help. Everything would work out. Because it always did. For him. I have to work tomorrow, I said, standing up. I'm going to bed. I went inside, walked past my parents without looking at them, and closed my bedroom door. I didn't sleep. I lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out what to do. The next morning, I made a decision. I packed my things. Not just for the garage, for good. I loaded my old car with clothes, books, a few photos, and whatever else fit. It wasn't much. I'd never had much. When my mother saw me carrying boxes to the car, she came outside, her face pale. "What are you doing?" "I'm leaving," I said, not stopping. "Leaving? Where will you go?" "I don't know yet. But I'm not living in your garage." She grabbed my arm. "Please, don't be dramatic. It's just for a little while. We're family." I pulled away. Family comes first, right? That's what Dad said. So I'm putting myself first. For once. Your father didn't mean. Yes, he did. He meant exactly that. Derek comes first. Always has. I'm just the one who fits in the garage. I got in my car and drove away. I didn't look back. I spent that night in a cheap motel, the kind with flickering neon signs and paper-thin walls. The next day, I found a room to rent in a house share with 3 other guys. It was small, cramped, and cheap. It was mine. I threw myself into work. I had 2 jobs already, one at a warehouse during the day, one at a restaurant at night. I picked up extra shifts, worked double shifts, worked until I was too exhausted to think. I saved every penny I could. I started looking for opportunities. I'd always been good with numbers, good with money. I started reading about investing, about real estate, about ways to make your money work for you. I took online courses at night, studied after work, learned everything I could. Within a year, I'd saved enough for a down payment on a small fixer-upper house. It was a dump, literally, but it was cheap, and I could see the potential. I bought it, moved in, and started renovating in every spare moment. I learned plumbing, electrical, drywall, tiling. I watched YouTube tutorials, read books, asked questions at hardware stores. Slowly, painfully, I turned that dump into a home. Then I bought another one. And another. Within 5 years, I had a small portfolio of rental properties. I quit my warehouse job, then the restaurant. I started my own property management company. I hired employees, took on bigger projects, built a reputation. I was 29 years old, and I was a success. Not because anyone helped me, because no one did. Because I worked for it, fought for it, earned it. I hadn't spoken to my family in 5 years. After that night, I cut off all contact. No calls, no visits, no social media. I changed my number, deleted my accounts, disappeared from their lives completely. I heard through mutual friends that Derek and Melissa were still living with my parents. They'd never moved out. Derek still hadn't found a steady job. They had another kid, then another. My parents' house was crowded, chaotic, stressful. I didn't feel satisfaction at that. I didn't feel anything at all. Then, one day, I got a letter. It was from my mother, forwarded through an old friend who still had my address. The envelope was worn, the handwriting shaky. I almost threw it away, but something made me open it. "My dearest son, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I don't blame you. What we did to you was wrong. I see that now. I've seen it for a long time. Your father passed away last year. Heart attack. It was sudden. I've been alone in this house ever since, with Derek and Melissa and the kids, and I'm so tired. So tired. We're losing the house. The mortgage is too much, and we can't afford it anymore. We have to move. We found a rental, a small house on the other side of town. It's not much, but it's something. I'm not writing to ask for money. I'm not writing to ask for anything. I just wanted you to know that I think about you every day. I regret every decision that led to you leaving. I wish I could go back and do it differently. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. No expectations. Just, I'm here. I love you. I always have. Mom." I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in a drawer. I didn't respond. I wasn't ready. Maybe I'd never be ready. But I kept the letter. A few months later, I got a call from a real estate agent I worked with regularly. "Got a property you might be interested in," he said. "Small house, needs some work, but good bones. The owners are desperate to sell. They're behind on payments and facing foreclosure. You could get it for a steal." I looked at the listing. The address was familiar. Very familiar. It was the house my mother had written about. The rental they'd moved into. The one they were now losing. I bought it. It was purely business, I told myself. A good investment. Nothing personal. But when the sale went through and I became the official owner, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Power. Control. The ability to decide what happened next. I drove by the house one afternoon just to see it. It was small, run down, in need of serious work. My mother was in the front yard, pulling weeds, looking older and smaller than I remembered. Derek's car was in the driveway, a beat-up sedan I didn't recognize. I sat there for a long time, watching. Then I drove away. The next week, I sent them a letter. Certified mail, so they'd have to sign for it. It was their new lease. Signed by me, the new owner. The rent was triple what they'd been paying. Within hours, my phone started ringing. Unknown numbers, over and over. I ignored them all. Then my mother found a way to reach me. Through an old friend, through someone who still had my number. She called, and this time, I answered. Hello, Mom. Silence. Then a sob. It's you. It's really you. It's me. The house. You bought the house. Why would you do this? How could you do this to your own family? I took a deep breath. Family comes first, remember? That's what Dad said. That's what you both said when you told me to move into the garage so Derek could have my room. This is different. How is it different? You needed help, and I'm helping. Just like you helped Derek. You gave him my room. I'm giving you a place to live. It's what family does. You're punishing us. You're being cruel. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm running a business. This is what the market rate is for this property. If you can't afford it, you're welcome to find somewhere else. We can't find somewhere else. We have nowhere to go. That's not my problem, I said. It wasn't my problem when I had nowhere to go either. I figured it out. You will too. She was crying now, great heaving sobs that tore at something deep inside me. But I didn't relent. I loved you, she whispered. I always loved you. I loved you too, I said. But love isn't enough. Not when it's conditional. Not when it's only for the favorite child. I hung up. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, going over every word of that conversation. I felt empty. Hollow. Not victorious, not satisfied. Just empty. The next morning, I drove back to the house. I parked across the street and watched. My mother was on the porch, sitting in an old rocking chair, staring at nothing. She looked broken. Derek came out, holding a coffee mug. He sat beside her, and they talked quietly. I couldn't hear the words, but I could see the weight in their postures, the defeat in their faces. I thought about all the years I'd spent feeling invisible, feeling second best. I thought about the garage, about packing my things in the dark, about driving away with nowhere to go. I thought about the long nights in that cheap motel, the exhaustion of 2 jobs, the loneliness of building a life from nothing. And I thought about my father, dead now, gone before we could ever reconcile. Gone before he could see what I'd become. I started the car and drove away. Weeks passed. I didn't call. I didn't visit. But I couldn't stop thinking about them. I talked to my therapist about it. Yes, I had a therapist now, someone who helped me work through the years of pain and abandonment. What do you want? She asked. Not what do you think you should want, or what do you think is fair. What do you actually want? I thought about it for a long time. I want them to understand, I said finally. I want them to really see what they did. I want them to acknowledge it, to own it, to apologize without expecting anything in return. And if they do that, what then? I don't know. Maybe we could try to rebuild something. Maybe not. But at least I'd know they finally saw me. Then that's what you need to communicate. Not through punishment, but through honesty. I thought about her words for days. Then I made a decision. I drove back to the house. This time, I parked in the driveway. I walked up to the front door and knocked. My mother answered. When she saw me, her face went pale, then flushed, then crumpled into tears. You came back, she whispered. I came back. She pulled me into a hug, holding me tight, sobbing into my shoulder. I stood there, stiff at first, then slowly, gradually, I hugged her back. We went inside. The house was small, cluttered, filled with the detritus of a crowded life. Derek was there, and Melissa, and 3 kids I'd never met. They stared at me like I was a ghost. We sat in the cramped living room, and I told them everything. About the night I left, about the motel, about the years of struggle and work and building. About the properties, the company, the success I'd achieved alone. They listened in silence. When I finished, my mother was crying again. Derek's face was pale. I'm sorry, he said. For everything. For taking your room, for not standing up for you, for letting Mom and Dad treat you like you didn't matter. I was selfish. I've always been selfish. You have, I agreed. But you're also my brother. And I've missed you. Melissa spoke up, her voice quiet. We never meant to hurt you. We were just desperate, and we took advantage. It was wrong. It was, I said. But I'm not here to punish you. I'm here to figure out what comes next. My mother reached for my hand. Can you ever forgive us? I looked at her, at this woman who'd raised me, who'd failed me, who'd loved me in her own broken way. I thought about the letter she'd written, the apology she'd offered without expecting anything in return. I don't know, I said honestly, but I'm willing to try. We talked for hours that day. About the past, the present, the future. About the house, the lease, the impossible rent. I told them I'd tear up the lease, that they could stay at the old rate. I wasn't going to make them homeless. I never was. My mother cried again. Derek hugged me, really hugged me, for the first time in years. Melissa made coffee, and we sat together like a family, broken but together. I didn't move back in. I didn't suddenly become part of their daily lives. But I started calling, visiting, showing up. It was awkward at first, full of silences and careful words. But slowly, over time, we found our rhythm. We talked about my father, about his death, about the regrets we all carried. We talked about the years we'd lost, the moments we'd never get back. And we started building something new. Something fragile, tentative, but real. The house they were renting? I eventually sold it. Not to someone else, to them. At a price they could afford, with payments they could manage. It was their home now, truly theirs. Derek got a job finally, a real job, with benefits and stability. He started therapy, worked through his own issues, became a better father and husband. Melissa went back to school, got her degree, started a career. The kids grew up surrounded by love, not chaos. My mother aged gracefully, surrounded by family. She and I talk every week now, sometimes more. She tells me she's proud of me, and for the first time, I believe her. I'm 35 now. I have a successful business, a beautiful home, a life I built with my own hands. I have a partner who loves me, friends who support me, a future full of possibilities. And I have a family. Not the perfect family I dreamed of as a child, but a real one. Flawed, complicated, sometimes painful, but mine. The garage is still there, at my parents' old house. The house they lost, the house someone else owns now. I drove by it once, years later, just to see it. It looked smaller than I remembered. Just a garage. Just a space. But it wasn't just a garage. It was a symbol of how little I mattered to them, of how easily they could set me aside. And it was also a catalyst. The thing that pushed me out, that forced me to stand on my own, that made me fight for a life they never believed I could have. I don't hate them for it anymore. I'm grateful, in a strange way. Grateful for the push, for the pain, for the fire that forged me into who I am. But I also know that I never would have chosen that path. I never would have left if they hadn't made me. I never would have fought so hard if I hadn't been knocked down. So maybe, in the end, the garage was a gift. A terrible, painful gift, but a gift nonetheless. My mother asked me once, years later, if I'd forgiven them. I thought about it for a long time before answering. I've forgiven you, I said. But I haven't forgotten. And I think that's okay. I think it's possible to forgive someone and still remember what they did. To love someone and still hold them accountable. She nodded, tears in her eyes. That's fair. That's more than I deserve. It's not about deserving, I said. It's about choosing. Choosing to move forward instead of staying stuck. Choosing to build something new instead of tearing down what's left. She hugged me tight. I'm so proud of you. Not because of your success, but because of who you are. The man you've become. I hugged her back. Thanks, Mom. That means more than you know. Derek and I are close now. Not in the way we were as kids. That innocence is gone, replaced by something harder and more honest. But we talk, we laugh, we show up for each other. He's become someone I respect, someone I'm proud to call my brother. He told me once that my leaving shook him awake. That seeing me walk away, build a life, become someone, it made him realize he'd been sleepwalking through his own existence. That he needed to change, to grow, to become worthy of the love he'd always taken for granted. I used to be jealous of you, he admitted. You had this fire, this drive. I coasted. I thought things would always work out because they always had. But watching you made me realize that coasting isn't living. It's just waiting to crash. You crashed, I said. And you got back up. He nodded. With help. With your help. I thought about that. About the irony of me helping the brother who'd taken my room, who'd been the favorite, who'd never had to fight for anything. But that's the thing about family. It's not about who deserves what. It's about showing up, even when it's hard. Even when you don't want to. Melissa and I became friends, eventually. She told me about those early years, about the desperation and shame of losing their apartment, about how hard it was to accept help from my parents when she knew it was coming at my expense. I tried to talk them out of it, she said. I told them it wasn't fair to you. But they wouldn't listen. They said you'd understand, that you were flexible, that you didn't need the space like we did. I was flexible, I said. I was always flexible. That was the problem. She nodded. I know. And I'm sorry. I should have pushed harder. I should have refused to stay. You were desperate. I get it. Still, it was wrong. We let the silence sit between us for a moment. Then she smiled. But look at you now. Look what you've become. I smiled back. Look at all of us. The kids call me uncle. They don't know the history, the pain, the years of silence. To them, I'm just family. The cool uncle who brings presents and tells stories and shows up for birthdays. I like that. I like being part of their world without the weight of the past. Someday, when they're older, I might tell them. Or maybe I won't. Maybe some stories don't need to be passed down. Maybe the healing is enough. I'm sitting on my porch now, watching the sunset. My partner is inside, cooking dinner. The dog is at my feet. My phone buzzes, a text from my mother, asking what time we're coming for Sunday dinner. A text from Derek, sending a funny video of his kids. A text from work, a quick question about a project. Life is full, complicated, beautiful. I think about that night sometimes, the dinner, the announcement, the laughter that died in my throat. I think about the garage, about packing my things, about driving away with nowhere to go. I think about the years of struggle, the loneliness, the fight. And I think about now, about this porch, this sunset, this peace. It was worth it. Every bit of it was worth it. The garage didn't break me. It made me. And the family that put me there? They're part of my life again. Not because they deserve it, but because I choose it. Because forgiveness isn't about them, it's about me. It's about letting go of the weight I've carried for so long. I'm lighter now. Free. My mother called me last week, crying. Not about money or hardship this time, but about gratitude. About how grateful she was that I came back, that I gave them a chance, that I didn't let the past destroy the future. I don't deserve you, she said. Maybe not, I said. But you have me anyway. That's what family is. She laughed through her tears. When did you get so wise? I had a lot of time to think. In the garage. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I'm so sorry. For all of it. I know, Mom. I know. We talked for a while longer, about nothing important. Then I hung up and sat in the quiet, feeling the peace settle around me. This is my life. This is my family. This is my peace. And it's beautiful. Thank you for listening to this story. If it resonated with you, if it made you feel something, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more real-life tales, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. You never know who might be sitting in their own version of the garage, wondering if they'll ever escape. You will. I promise. It just takes time and courage and the willingness to fight for yourself. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And never forget, you are worthy of more than a garage. You are worthy of a home. Good night.